Hi everyone, Alan from Newlands Pets, and today we're talking about how to transition to raw, and I thought it'd be really useful to actually give you some illustrations of what it actually looks like. So this is like a time scale effectively. It's going to be anything between 7 and 10 days depending on your dog. Could be a little bit quicker, but we'll work on an average. So what this does is represents how we make the move from kibble over to raw. So by the time we've finished, you're feeding your dog completely raw. So in these bowls, it is an illustration of a daily feed. So not how much you'd feed per feed if you feed more than once a day. So if you feed 3 times a day, you're going to split these portions into 3. And what I've done is I've worked it out on a 10 kilo dog. If your dog weighs 20 kilos, obviously it's twice the amount. If it weighs 7.5 kilos, then we can work it out for you. And in store, we've got a helpful guide as well, which has got a how to transition to raw and the feeding guides and how you do it basically. And if you buy from us online, we can post this out to you as well, so there's no problem with that. Okay, so it's nice and easy to do. I've laid these out already. What I'll do is I'll scoop out for the first day. So you've made the decision to transition to raw, you've decided to do it, and it's a nice sunny Tuesday today, and this is the day you're going to start. So what we do is we start with a small amount of raw. So this is the raw, this is the amount we're going to give per day. So if you're feeding twice a day, we'd put this in half. Okay, you can choose to feed 1 meal of raw and another meal of kibble, so your existing kibble, or you could do half and half. That's completely up to you. Now this is a grain-free kibble, so it's going to be a little bit easier transition. If you come from a really poor quality kibble, then it can be a bit slower, but you take it individually, you take it as it goes effectively. So what I'm going to do is we'll work on the daily amount. Is I'm going to scoop in, this is the amount we're going to give throughout the day on day 1 and day 2 as it happens. So it just shows you this is the amount, so a small amount. 10 kilo dog is relatively small obviously, but this is the amount we're going to give per day, and we're going to also give 3/4 of the amount we normally give to the dog in kibble. So this is 1/4 of the daily amount when we eventually get to raw. I hope that makes sense. Sometimes it's easier if it's written down, but this gives you an idea of how we do it. We're just effectively, what we're doing is we're increasing the amount of raw and decreasing the amount of kibble, just like that. So what I'm going to do is just pour that in. Gives you an idea. So on day 1 we've got more kibble than we have of raw. Okay, one thing that people get a little bit confused by and a little bit worried about is being absolutely precise. We like people to weigh their food, there's no doubt about it. It's more accurate, gives you a good guide as well. So if you suddenly realise that your dog, maybe that's not quite enough for them because you've got a particularly active dog, if you've weighed it, you know how to increase it. If you've just done it by sight, it's much harder. So weighing your food is great, but when you do this transition and we ask you to feed 1/4 of raw food and 3/4 of the kibble, I don't want that to be like by the gram. So if it's 3 or 4 gram out, 5 gram out, maybe even 10 gram out if you've got a big dog, that's absolutely fine. And something to point out is, so I've got my kibble here. What we're doing is when we make the transition, we're going for all the measurements for the raw food all the way along here, we're going from a raw feeding guide. And for the kibble, we're going from the feeding guide on the back of the packet of the kibble. That's something people get confused by. It's all to do with the amount of nutrients in it. You don't need to worry why it is, but effectively the measurements for the kibble, so 3/4 of the kibble, we take the measurement from here, the daily amount, and for the raw, we take it from a raw feeding guide. Okay, so we do that for 2 days. If it looks like it's suiting your dog, then we make the next step. So 2 to 3 days, we do half and half. Looks a bit like that. And then for 2 to 3 days, so this is day 4 and 5, then it looks a bit like this. You can see we've decreased the amount of kibble and we've increased the amount of raw. And then around about day 6, day 7, then it's completely raw, okay? And then we're purely on the raw feeding guide. Some dogs will take longer. Some dogs will point blank come day 2, day 3, refuse to eat the old food. Then you can make that transition. Just be aware that sometimes it can take them a little bit longer to get used to it. They might have a bit of loose stools or something like that, but normally it's not too bad. There are loads of ways of transitioning your dog to raw. Over the years, over 10, 12 years of doing this, we found this the best. So effectively all it is a gradual change. We like to put figures to it, percentages to it, because it gives you something to aim for and it allows you to give it nice and gradually. But if you want to do it slightly different and you want 30% rather than 25%, that's absolutely fine. And if your dog in the middle of the transition does suddenly go, oh, I really don't want any of the old food, then give it a go. You could always make that transition slightly quicker. Some dogs move really, really quickly, no different to us, getting used to a new food. Other dogs, not so much. So some will take a little bit longer as well. Okay, it's as simple as that. Nice and easy to do, and as always, you can always get in contact. You can give us a bell on the phone, you can send us a message commenting on this video. We're always here to help. We have helped literally thousands and thousands of dogs now make this transition. It's not as daunting as you might think it is, but we can definitely help you all the way through the steps. So get in contact. See you soon.